a global legend of bees, propolis, and the battle against the silent plague. The disease appeared without thunder, without warning, without smoke or noise. It moved silently, like a veil sliding over the world. Villages in South America, bustling towns in Eastern Europe, modern cities in Asia. Everywhere, symptoms were the same. Fever without reason, throat inflammation that resisted antibiotics, wounds that refused to heal, lungs that weakened slowly, silently, unstoppably. Hospitals buzzed, doctors murmured, laboratories swarmed with frantic motion. This illness was different. It did not respond to drugs, neither old nor new. The virus was not entirely new, just evolved, mutated, hardened. It spread among humans with no visible pattern or discrimination. The news networks gave it a name: the silent plague. Governments panicked. Researchers were desperate. The world shivered. But in a remote corner of Brazil, in a dense, humming green forest alive with unseen movement, stood a man who had been waiting for something like this his entire life. His name was Dr. Rafael Ortega, a biochemist who walked away from pharmaceutical fame to live with bees. To him, bees were not just insects. They were keepers of ancient medicine, and deep inside one of the hives, glimmering with a rich amber glow, was the very thing humanity had overlooked for centuries: propolis, the bee's eternal shield. Propolis was no ordinary hive material. Bees made honey to feed. They made wax to build. But propolis they made to defend. They collected resin from tree buds, sap flows, and botanical wounds. They mixed it with pollen enzymes and wax until it became a powerful reddish-brown adhesive, strong as glue, fragrant as the forest itself. They spread it along the hive walls, sealing cracks like a fortress. They coated the entrance, sterilizing every visitor who passed. They used it to mummify invaders, intruders too large to remove, preventing decay, infection, and disease. Inside a hive coated in propolis, bacteria struggled to survive. Viruses faltered. Mold and fungi suffocated. It was one of the world's oldest natural antibiotics, yet nearly forgotten in modern medicine. But Raphael had not forgotten. For years he had studied the scientific evidence. Health benefit #1 immune boosting. Propolis activates immune cells, strengthening natural defense responses. Health benefit #2 anti-inflammatory power. It reduces inflammation at both the surface and cellular levels. Health benefit #3 antimicrobial and antiviral. It attacks bacteria, viruses, fungi, even antibiotic-resistant strains. Health benefit #4 wound healing and tissue repair. It accelerates regeneration of skin, muscle, and nerve tissue. Health benefit #5 antioxidant protection. Its polyphenols fight oxidative stress, slowing aging and cellular decay. Raphael knew all of this, but he also knew something the world did not. This propolis, harvested from the native green bees of the Brazilian rainforest, was different, stronger, older, untouched by human agriculture. Its chemical structure contained compounds no lab had successfully synthesized. Compounds with antiviral signatures stronger than any medicine currently on the market. Raphael smiled at the hive humming before him. "Your time has come," he whispered. The world was about to learn the truth. 3 days after Raphael sent his research report, his phone rang. "Dr. Ortega," a calm voice said. "This is Director Helena Morau of the World Health Biodefense Council. Your findings have been reviewed. We request your presence in Geneva immediately." He arrived at the council chamber 2 days later. Scientists from across nations sat in a semicircle. On the central screen, Graphs of infection spread, mortality rates, failed vaccine responses. Helena stood, tall, composed, a field scientist, before she became a leader of global health. She pointed to Raphael. "You claim the key lies in B. propolis. Explain." Raphael looked around the room, faces etched with exhaustion, fear, skepticism. He raised a vial of deep amber resin. "This is not folk medicine. It is biochemical warfare, perfected over 50 million years. Bees have fought microbial threats longer than humans have existed. They developed something we cannot replicate, a defensive compound that adapts and evolves with pathogens." The room was silent. Raphael continued, showing slides of his research. Propolis suppressing viral replication by 89% in controlled laboratory tests. Healing of infected wounds in half the expected time. Complete inhibition of several resistant bacteria strains. Helena leaned forward. Her eyes brightened. "So you're suggesting a natural cure?" "No," Raphael answered. "A natural shield, one that strengthens the body's own defenses rather than replacing them." The council murmured. For the first time in months, hope flickered. But every miracle attracts an enemy. Enter Dr. Victor Drahl, pharmaceutical mogul, a genius businessman, cold visionary. He once funded Raphael's research, until Raphael refused to sell Propolis' rights to his corporation. "You don't understand," Victor had once hissed. "If a cure cannot be patented, we cannot control it. And if we cannot control it, we cannot profit." So Raphael walked away. Now Victor watched the council meeting from behind a screen. He smiled, slowly, dangerously. "So, the bees rise again." He snapped his fingers. "Ascend the team. Burn the hives." Night. The rainforest shivered under moonlight. Raphael was back among his hives, preparing samples for clinical trials. He did not hear the engines at first, but the bees did. The hives vibrated with alarm, a deep, unsettling hum that echoed through the clearing. Then the flames came. Fire roared up the trees. Smoke devoured the sky. Raphael screamed, running through smoke, slamming open hive covers, lifting combs with bare arms, ignoring burns, trying to save the bees. But the flames moved faster than grief. The ground trembled. The hive cracked. The bees fell silent. Raphael collapsed. The rainforest, once alive with wings, now lay still. The last hive, the ancient hive, was gone. Or so it seemed. From behind the burning grove, a sound began, soft at first, growing, a low harmonic vibration. A single bee rose before Raphael. Its wings shimmered green under the firelight. The queen, she landed on his palm. She looked at him, not as an insect looks at a man, but as something older looks at something temporary. In that moment, Raphael understood. This was no extinction. This was relocation. He stood. His grief hardened into resolve. The queen took flight. He followed. The queen led Raphael across continents, to Nigeria, where ancient honey priests once used propolis to treat the sick, to Turkey, where warriors of the Seljuk Empire packed wounds with propolis before battle, to Greece, where Hippocrates himself wrote of the resin of the bees that restores flesh. Everywhere he traveled, he found living knowledge, stories, rituals, jars sealed and forgotten, old healers who nodded knowingly. Ah, propolis, the bees' gift. The bees were not extinct. They had simply returned to the places where humanity still respected nature, where monocrops and pesticides had not yet erased their future. In Ethiopia, Raphael found a monk with hives carved from hollowed logs. In Nepal, cliff-hanging bees the size of human hands produced resin of gold-red fire. In Mexico, Mayan Melipona bees produced sacred medicinal honey, still used by healers. The queen led him to each one. He gathered their propolis, studied, confirmed, validated. The cure was global. The bees had never belonged to one land, and neither would the healing. When Raphael returned to Geneva, Victor Drahl was already there. He stood before the Biodefense Council, smiling like a serpent wearing a suit. He held documents, patents, licenses, manufacturing rights. He turned to Raphael. "You were too late. I have acquired ownership of all major propolis sources in commercial use across the world. If humanity wants your cure, they must buy it from me." Raphael stepped forward. "You don't control the bees." Victor smirked. "No, but I control the farms, the labs, the distribution, and the governments need quantity. You cannot supply the world with wild hives." Helena stood silently. The council whispered in despair. Raphael closed his eyes. He remembered the monk, the cliff hive, the Mayan elder, the African honey priest, the untouched forests. The bees were everywhere, beyond corporations, beyond ownership, beyond greed. He raised his voice, not to the council, but to the world. "This medicine belongs to humanity. The bees are not ours. They are guardians, teachers, healers, and they have chosen to share this gift with us, so long as we respect the world they keep alive." The world listened. Villages mobilized. Communities formed co-ops. Traditional keepers were honored and elevated. Hives multiplied in gardens, rooftops, orchards, farms. The cure did not come from laboratories. It came from living relationships between humans and bees. Victor Drahl's empire collapsed, not with lawsuits, but with self-sufficiency. Within 2 years, infection rates of the silent plague dropped by 74%. Community beekeeping rose worldwide. Agricultural biodiversity improved. Pollination increased. Food stability returned. People relearned to work with nature, not against it. Humanity did not just survive, it evolved. The bees hummed in every nation. And Raphael, he returned to the forest, not alone, but among friends, among keepers, among guardians. The queen always returned to greet him. The hive lived, the knowledge lived, the world remembered. A lesson meaning one: nature is not our enemy, it is our greatest ally. When we destroy nature, we destroy ourselves. When we honor it, it heals us. 2. True medicine strengthens the body, not just fights disease. Propolis works by empowering the immune system itself. 3. Not all power should be commercialized. Some gifts of the earth are meant to be shared, not owned. 4. Small beings can hold great wisdom. Bees, though tiny, shape ecosystems, medicine, and life. Lesson meaning 5. Healing is a global heritage. Knowledge passed through cultures is priceless and must be preserved. If this story opened your eyes, if it breathed hope into your heart, if it made you see nature differently, then subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this unfolding worldwide saga of natural medicine, ancient wisdom, and the beings who protect life itself. Subscribe now, stay, learn, grow, and rise with us. The world needs its storytellers awakened. Will you be one of them?